Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gabe Lands, host of the Pitchfork, right here on the Warfighter Up Radio Network. Thank you for joining me today at the off hour. Normally, we broadcasting about 7 p.m. Central, or excuse me, 8 p.m. Central now, 9 Eastern, until whenever we feel like it, because we wrap up the night on Tuesdays. So we're doing things a little bit different because I have some obligations, and my co-host Anthony has taken a vacation off to his safe space for today. So we will be carrying on without him, and wishing him all the best in from protection from hurtful words and things like that. So Anthony, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're shaking your head right now, but we got a great show lined up for you. We're going to cover some economic updates and just kind of focusing on that. I think for the most part today, there's lots of different angles I want to hit, and we've been focusing on this for a while. And Johnny Zero was just talking at the end of his show, $19 trillion in debt, people. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. So keep it dialed in here on the Warfighter Up Radio Network, and we'll be right back after this.
Darkest hour, sleep with the gun. When you gonna wake up? When you gonna wake up and fight? I created the sound of madness, wrote the book on pain. Somehow I'm still here to explain that the darkest hour never comes in the night. You can sleep with the gun. When you gonna wake up and fight for yourself? When you gonna wake up and fight for yourself? When you gonna wake up and fight for yourself? When you gonna wake up and fight for yourself?
All right, everybody. We're going to kick this pig, get it started, and we're going to get right in to this week's episode of the Pitchfork. Again, I want to thank you all for joining me, your host, Gabe Lands. We do this every connecting right now. Dang it. Seriously, we're going to have connection issues again, everybody. I'm sorry. My network adapter that I ordered did not come. It was supposed to arrive today, but the mailman is slow, and so unfortunately, we're dealing with a limited connection again. So, please bear with me. I got some important news and some information to arm yourself with, especially in regards to our nation's national debt. And, that's the mission here at Warfighter Up, is to engage, educate, and entertain the warfighter family, the warfighter nation. And this is going to be a portion that falls under education. You need to arm yourself with factual information so that when you're out there, you can fight against these generally misinformed, preconceived notions people have regarding issues so important, such as the national debt. We've talked about this a lot on the show, and I know a lot of you guys are probably banging your head. Let's talk about something else. But we could talk about transgender fluidity. We can talk about bathroom rights. We could talk about all that crap that is being poured down your mouth with a funnel right now. Or we can talk about things that matter. So let's talk about things that matter. If you haven't yet, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/groups/thepitchfork. Pinned at the top of the page will be today's chat thread. If you want to follow along or see the links that we're talking about, I will post them there if my internet connection allows me. So, excuse me, bear with me. I'm also kind of getting over I don't know what you want to call it. It wasn't a flu, it wasn't a cold, but it was something nasty. So I have a little bit of a cough kind of dragging through the end of the week here. But stick with me, and I'm going to try and post up the links in the comment thread, but it's not loading for some reason. So I'm not going to push my luck. Anyways, the article I'm going to talk about comes from a website called Zero Hedge. It's kind of a online resource for all things economics. Lots of people posted and chatting in here about issues, and it's a good place to find a lot of information that doesn't get reported on within the, air quotes, mainstream media. So this article is titled, "It is mathematically impossible to pay off all of our debt." And I've said this myself, and I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this for 4 or 5 years. I had a previous podcast that we did called Voices of Reason, and we talked about this, and we delved into it quite extensively. But that was 4 or 5 years ago, and that's back when we had like $16 trillion debt, not 19 like what we have now. And so, let's get into it, shall we? So, I'm just going to kind of read through the article and comment as I go. So it says here, did you know that if you took every single penny away from everyone in the United States, that it still would not be good enough to pay off the national debt? Today, the debt of the federal government exceeds $145,000 per household, and it is getting worse with each passing year. I contend every passing second, actually. It depends on how you want to look at it. Many believe that if we paid it off a little bit at a time, that we could eventually pay all of it off, but as you will see below, it's not going to work either. It's been projected... Hang on. Okay, so this article is coming from 2015, just so you know. This is over a year old, but it's still relevant, and I want to talk about it. It kind of popped up in my feed here. It's been projected that mandatory federal spending on programs such as Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, plus interest on the national debt, will exceed total federal revenue by the year 2025. That's before a single dollar is spent on the U.S. military, Homeland Security, paying federal workers, or building any roads and bridges. So no, we aren't going to be paying down our debt any time in the foreseeable future. And of course, it isn't just our $18 trillion national debt that we need to be concerned about. Overall, Americans are a total of $58 trillion in debt. 35 years ago, that number was sitting at just at $4.3 trillion, over a tenfold increase. There's no way in the world that all that debt can ever be repaid. The only thing that we can hope for now is for the debt bubble to last for as long as possible before it finally explodes, which is what we're seeing. All this continued negative interest rates, push for negative interest rates, quantitative easing, printing of money, flooding of markets, and intervention by the government is all in an effort to prolong. Getting some comments here. Oh, all right. Getting some reports here on the fade, on the audio quality. And, you know, I think part of the audio quality issues that we're going to be facing today are due to my connection, actually. I'm running tethered through my phone through 4G, so that we might be getting a little bit of feedback through that. I was going to play some audio from my phone, but I was getting feedback into my own connection once I plugged in the headphones. So that's partly due, probably, to the way I'm running the setup today. Getting back into the article here. It shocks so many people to learn that our debt is far larger than the total amount of money in existence. So let's take a few moments to go through some of the numbers. When most people think of money, they think coins, paper money, and checking accounts. All of those are contained in one of the most basic measures of money, known as M1. This is a statistic. M1 is a statistic or a measure that the Federal Reserve tracks. This is the definition of M1. A measure of the money supply that includes all physical money, such as coins, currency, as well as demand deposits, checking accounts, negotiable order of withdrawal accounts. M1 measures the most liquid components of the money supply, as it contains cash and assets that can quickly be converted to currency. Keep that in mind. So as you can see, there's some charts here on the website. Dang, I wish I could really post this. I'm trying to figure out a way to get this posted up for you guys. try refreshing my page here. Anyways, there's a page that says the M1's really grown in recent years thanks to rampant quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve. At the moment, it's just sitting shy of $3 trillion. And it's basically showing a graph from the timeline from 1980 to 2015. And it's in billions of dollars. And this is coming from the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. And back in the 1980, you were looking at about $400 billion in the M1 money measurement. And fast forward approximately, 35 years, you're talking 2,800 billion, so $2.8 trillion. So if you gathered up all the coins, all paper currency, and all money in everyone's checking accounts everywhere in the United States, would that even make much of a dent in our debt? No. So they have to find more money in order to pay off our debt, right? So there's another measurement called M2. It's a broader definition of money than M1 is because it includes more things. Here's the definition. A measurement of money supply that includes cash and checking deposits, M1, as well as near money. Near money in M2 includes savings deposits, money market mutual funds, and other time deposits which are less liquid and not suitable as exchange mediums but can be quickly converted into cash or checking deposits. Now I know this is getting into a lot of technical jargon, but just hang on, guys. I'll try and comment and paint a picture as best I can for you. I know here we go. Got the, okay, link is going live in today's chat thread if you want to follow it. Facebook.com/groups/the Pitchfork. I cannot talk today. So go check it out if you want to follow that link. It's going live in the chat thread here. And they have a chart of the M2. Same thing from about 1985 this time to 2015, so 30 years. Back in 1985, it's measured in billions of dollars. You're talking $2 trillion in 1985, give or take. And in 2015, it's about to max out at 12,000 billion, so $12 trillion. It's a lot more money, but it still would not pay off our national debt, much less our total debt of $58 trillion. Now, mind you, this measurement of debt is coming not just the national debt, it's coming unfunded liabilities as well, like Medicaid, Social Security. So keep that in mind. That's why this numbers might seem a little different. But mind you, they do and they are very much so part of the national debt. Is there anything else that they could grab, the government could grab in order to pay off the debt? Well, the broadest definition of money that is commonly used is the M3 measurement. The following definition is the following is the definition of M3. A measure of money supply that includes M2 as well as large time deposits, institutional money market funds, short-term repurchase agreements, and other larger liquid assets. The M3 measurement includes assets that are less liquid than other components of the money supply and are more closely related to the finances of larger financial institutions and corporations than to those of businesses and individuals. These types of assets are referred to as near money. The Federal Reserve no longer provides charts for M3, but according to John Williams of Shadow Stats, M3 is currently sitting somewhere in the neighborhood of $17 trillion. This is a year ago. So even with the broadest possible definition of money, we simply cannot come up with enough to pay off the debt of the federal government, much less the rest of our debts, which is not good news at all. Alternatively, we could just start spending less than we bring in and start paying